It's the morning of day 4. Got some rain last night and some sleep as well. Both of those were nice. And this is what it looks like. It's really starting to take shape here. And we've got a big area here to turn. Here we're going to try to bank it up a little bit on this side so that it's sort of like that to help with the turn. But the problem is we need a lot of material to be able to bank it. It would be easier just to kind of leave it how it is, but I think if we banked it, it would help in the long run. We're taking stone and clay out of the side of this hill here, and that goes up to the road. So the hunting cabin is kind of cut into the hill as well. Let's see if I can show you that. So I thought if we kind of match it there where it's already cut in, it should be okay and it should look all right. And then this area here could be a parking space or eventually add on to the cabin or something. That spot right there was going to be sort of an addition to the cabin, but I decided to go ahead and try to build the house instead of messing around with just little additions here and there. It's pretty well straight on. On the backside here, the water curves right there. So eventually this bank will wash out. You can see that tree. Its roots are just hanging on to the air there for dear life. So maybe eventually we'll kind of cut the whole bank that way, but it's something to think about. Had to cut into the swale here. Show you in a minute what we've decided to do. You see he's got the blade of the excavator behind him for stability. You want that on the downhill side. So in order to miss these 3 big hickories and these smaller oaks here, we decided to cut up just to the right of them. And all of this slope faces east. But when we cut this driveway, this slope will face south. So it'll be southeast facing, which means in the winter, we should have less of a problem with snow. That's pretty important. But yeah, you can see we've had to cut this, decided to cut this swale and go right through there, as opposed to coming all the way to this end. It we would have come around this end, then we would have been right in those big trees. That's why we decided to cut through there. A little more direct as well. The rain's really starting to pick up, but the field's been dry for a week or we got a little bit last night, but it's not bad. The ground's still stable. We come down there, come down the pre-existing lane. There's the curve that we put in yesterday, the culvert. Come across the creek, run along this swale. And we begin to cut up. And now we've got to go up. We're going to the diagonal across that hill. Anyway, we're going to start going across. Yeah, you can see those trees. Those are hickories. And there's a lot of smaller oaks in there. And then once you get in that way, it's more brush. So we'll be on this side of those big trees, and then we should miss most of them. And that'll be good. Now it's 3:20, 3:21, and at the base of the hill right there where we started. Now we're up in it. We're getting up there. Zach's doing good. He split these two trees. These two big ones. There's a red oak, I think, there, and a hickory here. He managed to split them. There he is. Taking from the uphill side, putting on the downhill side. Boy, he's come a long way. All of this since about, when did we start up? We probably started up here about around 1 or 2 o'clock today, and it's 7:40. So he's made good progress. You notice there's a number of curves. Right here, I don't know if it'll show on camera, but we had to curve it with the slope of the hill. There's a draw right here where it dips down. So we kind of came up into the draw like this, and then on the other bulge you have to go kind of back around it, around this bulge. What would that be called, a saddle? I don't think it's a saddle, but anyway. Yeah, it's almost dark, so we're gonna shut it down for today. But here's where we're at. A lot of small trees down, but we didn't have to take out any big trees, which was nice. Really, really nice. You can see down there, they're all still standing. I don't know if I showed this already, but he split those two. Had to go a little steep right there in order to split them both. But this is not a bad grade at all. It's not, it's not too steep. I think it's really nice. It gets a little steeper right here where we split them. I don't know if the camera does a good job of showing that or not. So this is about where we left off yesterday on day 4, counting by days, and today's day 5. It's about 5:30. I was by myself this morning and afternoon, and Zach showed up 2 hours ago and helped me here with the switchback. This took us a lot of time. Probably half the day or more, because the outside bank here needs a lot of material built up, and that means digging out a lot. On the inside bank, you can see all that material we've got piled up there. With the dozer, we'll push it off and bank it up. But that was, I don't know if I can show the scope of it with this camera, but that was a big job. So that's the switchback, and here we're about, where's the property line? "20 feet from the property line, I think." Yeah, it's that tree line right there. And now this slope will face north, so in the winter I imagine we'll have more problems with this one. This is the draw. A lot of water runs down here, so I'm wondering if we're going to have to put a pipe underneath the driveway, if that would help. And right here, we actually cross it twice. We're going to cross it here in a minute, and then just down below where I was. Getting up there. Made it to the top. Right there where the house is going. Over there's the clearing where I'm cutting down trees for the house. And there, the driveway. Oh, let's take a look. It's really, really steep here at the end. You can see that. It's way too steep. But I didn't want to bother with kind of going around. That would have been way too long. So we'll grade it out and get it figured out. But we made it. This is the beginning of day 6. I'm solo today. Been at it about 3 hours. And I've got a big mess down by the cabin where the dump truck couldn't quite get all the way back. So I had to take out some trees. Nothing too big, but mostly cherry. There's a nice straight oak right there. That one I should be able to use for a project. But we did it. Pretty awesome. I hope never to have to do that again. Oh, that was a lot of digging. That was a lot of digging. Here's the switchback. We still need to do some work on this. But that's what the bulldozer will be for. Anyway, I probably won't walk all the way to the end, but let's see if I can give some perspective. Anyway, down there you can see the field. It feels good. But there's no time to celebrate yet because there's a lot of stuff I need to do. And I've got a day and a half left. So you can see at the top of this draw where we ended up, but we have to go out and around first to make it. Yeah, right here, sort of a low spot, and then it goes up. So we'll even it out. We'll smooth it out. We made it. I wasn't sure this would get done when the week started. Those vultures up there. pretty cool to see that excavator sitting at the top. Whew. House is going in all that brush right there. I'll clear that out. Now it's time to see what's going on down there by the road. There's a huge pile of stone, about 20 tons of stone, shale, dropped dead center in the middle of the driveway because the truck driver was starting to tip over. So I told him better just dump it there instead of dying. Actually, I didn't tell him that, but I forgot to show the mess that was down here, but I had 2 loads of this delivered today, and this is called bank shale. It's the cheapest stuff I could find for a base. It's $8 a ton delivered. But the second dump truck had some trouble, and it was starting to tip a little bit that way. He went too far on this side. It's super narrow in here too, but he was starting to tip, so he just dumped it right there. So I've been working at that for the last hour or so, trying to clean up this mess and take that down and put it down there. And so this is gonna be slightly banked up on the outward side, and I'd like to do sort of a 3-way intersection here, where then it goes down out into the field, or this way, or coming from that field you can go out into this field. So that's the project right now, but it's 2:20, so I stopped, made a fire for lunch, and it's time to eat. Got all this drain pipe to put in as well if there's time. Let me show you what I'm eating here. I've got a whole bunch of fish with some sauerkraut and some green beans. This is my refrigerator over here. It's just a bag that I tie and throw in the creek. And I've had that fish in that creek for about 4 days, so anyway, it's time to cook it all up and eat it before it goes bad. Over here's a couch that I drug out of the cabin 2 years ago, and it's basically just animal habitat until it rots away. I might burn it eventually, but it doesn't bother me. That's where we're at, making messes and cleaning them up. There's load number 5. And that's bank shale. That's only $9 a ton, so that's what I'm using. That's the 5th load. And I had to, like I said, I had to build up that driveway on the downhill side. Last year I paid someone to do this driveway, but what I'm learning is the best thing to do is to rent the equipment and just do it yourself. You can do it better, honestly, and you can save a lot of money. I graded out the 5th load and I'm waiting for another, and about ready to cross the culvert. Anyway, you can see it's much higher than it was. It's looking pretty good, pretty wide. I want to make it plenty wide for big trucks, and yeah, that's where we're at. Last day with the excavator. It's about noon. So let's see how much more we can get done. Before I completely fill this in, I want to put drain tile or drain pipe here, because as if you've seen other videos of what happens after it rains, there's lots of water on this side, not just in the creek. And this 90-degree elbow will help. We're going to cover that with gravel, and water will go in there, and the pipe is corrugated and it runs slightly downhill out into the creek. So that way we've got drainage on this side of the field. And I've got another, well, 100-foot roll of that originally. This is probably 40 feet, so another 60 feet. I can do at least one more crossing right there. I have the pipe flow into the next swale underneath the drive. And then I've got some water issues on the north end over by my neighbors, so might use some over there. Yeah, we're gonna run that under the drive, and hopefully that helps with the water. This is load number 7 that I'm spreading right now. That means if there's 20 tons in each load, that's about 140 tons of bank shale. And you're supposed to have a minimum of a foot on top of that culvert. Looks like we're about there, but I haven't totally driven over it yet because I want to let it settle. And Marlon, my neighbor, who's a township worker and is putting lots of culverts, recommended having a dip on this side and a dip on the other side. That way, when we get a heavy rain and the culvert gets backed up, that water has a place to run around. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. We're getting there, almost across. It'll be cool to be able to park my car out in this field. Until next time. These guys are good. Good at backing up. And he just dumps it right there, and all I have to do with the hoe is turn around, pick it up, turn around and dump it. have to go very far. Wow, that's a lot of weight. You're good right there. You're good. Did it. I'm gonna go talk to him. So this is last load for today, load number 8. And I'm gonna spread it on the other side there. And then he'll bring 1 load, maybe 2 loads tomorrow morning. And then they're gonna come get the excavator tomorrow morning. So I told him I'll use it until they come get it, until they pry it from my hands. And we'll see if we can get across into the field there. To be continued. There's the base of the culvert. Piled some of those big rocks around it. It's got water flowing through it today. But I'll be excited to see how it handles a big rainstorm. And we'll see if it backs up, what happens. Yeah. So I almost made it to this side, but I don't want to drive across just yet because that pipe is still a little kind of shallow and I don't want to crush it. Plus the field's muddy and I'll just make a bigger mess. I'm kind of done with the excavator. There's things I should be doing with it, I can do with it. You know, I talked about digging a channel over there on the north side where all that water is and directing that water into the creek. That's something I could be doing. I could be reshaping some of these swales. I could be reshaping this bank, which is just a complete mess after driving through there twice with the excavator. But all that stuff can wait. You know, the big projects got done this year. So maybe in the fall, maybe next year, we'll rent it for another week or a couple days. And the dozer was going to come this weekend, but thinking about it, I don't know why. There's no need for it to come this weekend. I could push it back a week or two, and I think I'll do that just to give myself a break because it's been pretty hectic having to ride this thing 7 days in a row. I've been on it every day. So I'll push that back and that'll give me some more time to think. That way I don't do something stupid, you know, or something that I would regret later because I'm in a hurry. So it also give me time to plant trees out there on those swales. And I've got trees. I don't know if I ever showed these. They're behind the cabin here. I just healed them in and they're under a tarp. You can see them sticking their heads out. So these need to go in.